Hello, hello, everyone, and welcome to episode number 3 of Happy Productive. And today I want to continue our discussion on overwhelm. Now, as I mentioned last week, I'm working on a new workshop called Making Your Goals Inevitable. And I have to tell you, I'm having so much fun with the content in this workshop. It's a ton of new stuff that I've never taught before, but I believe I use, and I'm so excited to share with all of you guys in my community. Now, as I've been going through the workshop, I've really started to see how overwhelm becomes such an important part of it. And this is why I'm spending a lot of time on it and wanting to help get overwhelm out of the picture of your life. Because here's the thing, when we feel overwhelmed, and this could include being stretched really thin or stressed out every day, you know that feeling, right? It kind of sucks. And when you have that feeling, what's happening is that there's absolutely no space for you. And what I mean by this when I say there's no space is that when you don't have room in there for you, you're not going to feel motivated to change anything about your life because you just kind of get into this loop of surviving each day. And when you're in that survival loop, you probably don't even have the energy. I know I didn't when I was stuck in this loop, that I didn't have the energy to really care about my health or if I'd exercise for the day. I didn't have energy to pursue my hobbies or interests or things that I loved. When there's no space, and then maybe you've felt this too, and then people start asking you for things and they're always asking you for more and more and more. When there's no space there, you may find that you're getting angry or defensive or reacting in a way that's really kind of unpleasant to be around. And then you're acting in a way that isn't that much fun to be around, and then you feel guilty and you feel shameful. And then you beat yourself up, right? And then the process, it just keeps repeating and it's kind of awful. This is why it's so important to eliminate the state of overwhelm from your life, because then you can create the space to bring in all the fun stuff like love, joy, laughter, patience, compassion, understanding, gratitude, right? All of those things. But when you're in a constant state of busy, busy, hurry, rush, rush, survive, I have no idea what to do next, my to-do list is endless, right? Then all those really wonderful feelings and emotions, the ones that we want to be feeling, they sort of just kind of get pushed off to the side. So this is where, if you want to be living a life that you're really proud of and it means something, where you feel things like joy and happiness and bliss on a daily basis, this is why it's so important for us to see overwhelm for what it is. It's a lie that we've bought into, and it's a belief system that we have the power to change. Then we can start making space. Once we change it, we can start making space in our lives for the things that really, really matter to us. Now, this doesn't mean that I made some space and now I have to go out and I have to change the world in this huge, huge way. But here's the beauty of it, is that it doesn't mean you have to put more on you, right? We're trying to get out of overwhelm, not put more stuff on ourselves. But when you do make the space, then things in your life will change. For example, when you have some space, now you'll have the time to actually be fully present, say with your children, right? Instead of not having space and just brushing them off. And when you make that space and now you have time to be fully present with your children, it does change the world. It changes the world through them, which is actually pretty big. When you have the space in yourself, guess what? Every person that you come into contact with benefits. And I do believe that when we change ourselves, we do change the world, and it is in a big way. Okay. But not without being overwhelming or too huge. So, okay. You get that overwhelm is a belief, and you can listen to the past episode number 2 where I dive into that even deeper. And remember, a belief is just simply a thought that we've been thinking over and over and over. And we've been thinking it so many times that it's now become a belief. To change it, we have to be, one, aware that it even exists. And then we can start intentionally thinking a different thought as we form a new belief. And that's what helps us form a new belief, is to think a different thought. So let's say that you've decided to change your belief on overwhelm. Yay, that's fantastic. And you've committed to not buying into this anymore. Then you've decided on a new belief that feels really, really good to you. Maybe you've decided, hey, I want to feel joyful. I want to feel more happiness each day. I want to feel more productive and at ease each day. And I never want to be overwhelmed again. Awesome. That's the first step. Just decide what's the best thing for you. Now, once you've made this decision, then what might happen is reality is going to come like knocking on the door, right? Because the reality, when we look around, might be that you have a to-do list that's 45 miles long. You've got gobs of projects that maybe you took on because you didn't know how to say no, or you felt guilty, or whatever the reason is. And so you might be asking, all right, this is all great, Jennifer. I want to change this belief, but how do I unbury myself from this mess, right, that I've created? This is a great question to be asking, because we always want to ask questions that empower us. So for example, if you're asking questions in your life like, why can't I ever be happy? Or why is my life always so hard? Your brain is going to go to work answering that question and basically present you with tons of proof as to why you're not happy and why your life feels really hard, which is kind of keeps us again in that negative loop. So instead, what we want to do is we want to put our brains to work asking a question that will actually help us and that will actually empower us. This really, you guys, is what coaching is all about. Asking really important questions to help our clients get a breakthrough. But this is something that you can do yourself in any area of your life. So some questions, some power questions that you could start asking yourself might be, how could I cut my to-do list in half? That's a pretty awesome one. If you've got so much stuff, start asking, how could I cut my to-do list in half? How could I free up 2 hours a day just to have that time for myself? How could I eliminate the feeling of overwhelm from my day? How could I work at a joyful pace today? Right? Those questions are pretty awesome. And so you want to put your beautiful brain to work on answering those questions. Now, if you ask the questions and you're just tempted to automatically knee jerk and say, well, I don't know. I don't know the answers to these questions. I'm telling you right now, that's a bullshit cop out. When you say, I don't know, what you're really doing is you're giving up all your power to find an answer. And we don't want that, okay? And what's happening too is that you're shutting down those answers, okay? You're not allowing them to come through. So if you don't know the answer to something, okay, fine. But instead of just shutting it down and saying, I don't know, what you want to replace this with is something like, I'm learning, or my favorite one, I'm figuring it out. Okay. Anything I'm working on, I haven't figured out, especially in my business, right? If you're a business owner, it's easy to say, oh, I don't know how to do marketing, or I'm not good at sales, right? And just shut down those answers, but we don't want to do that. So we want to switch this to, I'm figuring it out. I'm figuring out how to get these answers or what these answers should be. All right. Because we don't want to shut those answers down. They're coming from within us, and that's where all of our information is. Okay, so once you start asking a power question, you're probably gonna love the results and the answers that you're getting. It's way more fun than asking these victim-y questions like, why do I suck? And always feeling like crap. A fun exercise might even be to, and I love to do this, is start every single day by asking yourself one power question. Ask yourself that question, give yourself a little space, and just let those answers flow. And just honor whatever comes up for you. Okay, so remember, reality might come knocking on your door as you try to eliminate overwhelm. Number one, don't give into it. Start asking power questions to get the answers that you need to move through it, past it, and be done with it. And the number two thing that you can do is my brain dump exercise. I love this one. Okay, so inside the Best Planner Ever, right before each monthly tab. If you just flip the monthly tab to the right, you'll see on the left is the brain dump exercise. If you don't have a planner, you can pick one up at bestplannerever.com. And we even do provide additional blank sheets that you can download, because sometimes you need way more than what's in than the space that we've provided. Okay. So on the worksheet, it's basically divided into 2 columns. So on the left is where you brain dump everything out of your head, personal, professional, anything and everything that you need to do. We want to get it out of our brains and onto paper. Again, this is about creating space. There's no space in your brain if you're trying to remember 800 things. So get it all out of your head and get it onto paper. And if you need 10 sheets of paper, use 10 sheets of paper. It's okay. Use as much paper as you need. Then this is the important part. So once it's all out on paper, now we just have a massive to-do list. That's not really going to serve us. So once it's on paper, then you want to prioritize it using the ABCDE system. That's it, ABCDE. So A is a high priority item which moves your goals forward. It might be something that you're a little afraid to do, but you know in your heart, if you make that phone call, attend that networking meeting, you know, whatever that is, send that email, pitch that client, you know, whatever, you know in your heart, like, this will really help me get towards my goals, achieve my life vision. Those are your A tasks, and everything is not an A. All right, a B task is something that's important. You're going to do it. You have to do it. It might be a meeting with a client. It could be vendor meetings, employee reviews, like all these things that they are absolutely important. Those are your Bs. C is going to be things that can be procrastinated. They can be put off until later. They're not your As. And here's what I discovered is that when I started diving really deep into productivity, because I love making lists and I love crossing shit off the list. And I would put things on the list. I know you've done this too. All of us little closet list makers, where you put things on the list just so you can cross it off, right? Well, that was awesome, except I found I was putting a whole lot of C tasks on my list, C's, because they were super easy to do and super easy to cross off, and I could feel accomplished because look at all the things I got crossed off my list. However, the A's, those really important things that might be a little scary, that are easy to procrastinate, those were not getting done. And as a result, I wasn't seeing the progress on my goals that I wanted to see because the A's were not getting done. So be aware of the difference between an A, a B, and a C. C's can be put off till later. They could be grouped together. D is delegate, ask for help. This could be asking your husband to wash the dishes, or your kid to do the laundry, or your team, right? Assigning people to your team. This might be putting, like, vendors, if they're asking you to do things that are really their job, okay? Getting that stuff off your plate and not taking on so much. So D is delegate and E is eliminate. Now, eliminate doesn't have to mean I'm saying no to it forever. Sometimes I eliminate things off my list that maybe just don't fit this quarter, and I'll move it to another quarter or a later time. And sometimes it's like, you know what? It was an idea, but I'm decided not to do it, so I'm just getting rid of it for good. Okay, so E is eliminate. So once you've gone through your massive list and you've assigned a letter to each item, then you can start working the list. And now it's a little bit more manageable because you have an order and a priority to it. So you might schedule 1 or 2 A tasks each day. Keep them short. They don't have to be 4 hours long. They can be 10 minutes. Sometimes it's a phone call, an email, a little thing that you just need to do to get that door open, right? So it could be a 10 or a 15-minute task. Schedule out your Bs, and then you can pull them off the brain dump list once they've been scheduled in your planner. C's, again, can be put off. They can be grouped till later. D is delegate. In the Best Planner Ever, on your daily planning sheet, there's an A, B, C, D. So even if you've delegated something, I will go and I'll write it down. Like if I want to check back in 3 days later or a week later, I'll just go flip to that date in the future, write it down under my D, and that also is my reminder to go and check on something that I might have delegated. Okay, so this exercise is so powerful that I do it with every client who comes to me and they're like in a totally overwhelmed state. Like, this is the very, very first thing we do because it clears up space in our brains so that we can then think. Now, depending on how overwhelmed you are, you might actually have to do this daily until you kind of get a handle on things, and that's okay. And then you might only have to do it weekly, and that's okay. Now, I really use mine monthly. I rarely get into a state of overwhelm, and this page actually now just kind of becomes a holding space for any projects that come up. They go onto that page in my month, and then from there, I'm able to schedule things out throughout the days and the weeks in the month. So works pretty good. So when we see these things on paper, it feels so much more manageable than trying to carry it around in our brains. And then from there, we can take action. And this is a practical, tangible thing that you can do to work towards your new belief where you never, ever have to work in a state of overwhelm ever again. Now, depending on where you're at, it might take a few weeks, it might even take a month, maybe 2 months to fully clear through it. And I say, do the work. Like, isn't it better if it took you 2 months to really get caught up and organized? Wouldn't that be better than a whole lifetime of overwhelm? Yeah, it would be. Okay, so that's our lesson for today, you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for spending time here with me today. I really appreciate it. I love each and every one of you. And I really encourage you to start asking power questions and do that brain dump exercise to make some space for yourself. When you clear space, then you have room for the things in life that really matter. And you can go out and you can start to do those things because now you have the space. Now, if you enjoyed this, I also want to invite you to come check out my coaching programs. Goal Achievers is my life coaching program where we take all this material and we apply it to our lives. We dive deep into one life topic each month. We focus on it and apply it in a way that's fun, achievable, and never overwhelming. If you're a business owner, you might love Inner Circle. We do the same deep dive on just one business topic per month. And we also learn how to eliminate the frustration, the stress, the overwhelm from our businesses so that we can have spectacular fun each and every day in our work. You can learn more at bestplannerever.com if you're looking for the planner, or for coaching, jenniferdawncoaching.com. So thank you so much for being here with me today. It's an honor that you've brought a little piece of me into your life today. Now go out there and have a super happy, productive day. Bye.